Welcome to my podcast. I'm Reagan Bashara, founder of All Ease Accounting, a bookkeeping and payroll services firm based in the United States. I have almost a decade of small business accounting expertise to share with my clients and the business community at large. I want to help you define your beliefs and values, create better procedures in line with those values, and realize your financial agency and independence as a small business owner. Whether you've got a side hustle or a fully fledged business with a team of employees, we all share the same struggles against our limiting beliefs. Let's overcome those together by imagining new ways of doing business. Hey everybody, today I'm going to share with you what my personal and therefore business values are. So if you've been listening to my podcast or you know me in any way, you know that I am a business owner. I am the founder of All Ease Accounting, which is a bookkeeping and payroll services firm based in the United States. And currently, I am the only one working in my company. I'm the sole proprietor and I don't have any employees. I am the sole decision maker of the business. All of the choices about the business in every possible way rest on my shoulders. And I am the one who has the vision of where I want the business to go. And so in that way, I am the only person responsible for the outcomes of the business, for the impact that it has on the community. And I don't take that lightly. And I think that it's important as business owners to recognize that responsibility and that accountability that we have to our community, whether that's locally, whether that's to the business community at large, whether that's globally, like whatever kind of reach or impact your business has. It's important to recognize the responsibility you have in showing up as a reflection of your values. At least that's what I think. And since I'm the only person, I'm the sole proprietor, I'm the sole owner of the business, I don't have employees, the business is 100% a reflection of me as a person. So when you have a business partner, or maybe you have multiple partners in the business, multiple co-owners, and or a team or workforce of people working for you like employees, the business can take on a new, separate identity from you simply because it's made up of different people. So even if you're the sole owner, if you have employees, anyone who is working in the business and therefore representative of it will reflect back on the company and therefore you, because the buck stops with you, right? It's important to have a strong set of values, or at least I think that that's very important, that you use to guide your choices and to maintain that original purpose and whatever result you wanted to create when you decided to start a business. So when you start a business, rather than choosing to go work in a position for someone else's business as an employee, you're creating something new from scratch, right? The whole point of doing the new business thing is because you don't see something in the world already and you know that you can provide that in a unique way. And since everyone is building their business based on their own background, experience, culture, knowledge, and framework, every new business is going to be unique. So I would encourage you to establish your own set of values if you haven't done that already. Write them down and use that as the basis for your business framework and mission statement. So whether or not you already have a business up and running, or if your goal is to start your own business. So here's the 5 values that I have narrowed down and claimed for myself. This is what I see as the most important things for me to focus on in my life and my work. And so my personal values and my business values overlap 100%. I don't have like a separate set of personal values that aren't also my business's values. So you can Google just quote personal values and find out for yourself, see which ones resonate the most with you. I don't think that you have to put a limit on the number of values that you want to focus on. For me, I've chosen these 5 values because I don't see myself wanting to whittle it down any further. These 5 values feel like a very core set of values for me to focus on, for things that I believe that I need to align myself with when I'm making decisions about my business, when I'm making decisions about my personal life. And once I have these values kind of like in the forefront of my mind and I'm focused on them and I'm aligning all the decisions that I make with those values, it's easy for me to tell whenever I'm thinking in a way or choosing something that isn't in line with those values. I start to actually feel like that cognitive dissonance in my body. It's like a physical reaction to having made a decision or a choice, or to have some thought pattern that I'm thinking that isn't in line with those values. It becomes very obvious whenever I'm not in alignment with my values. So that's why I think it's important as business owners, when we're having the impact that we have on the community and on other people's lives, especially if we're providing a product or a service, and for sure the people that work for us too, like our employees. It's so important to have these values that you've decided on intentionally to use as like a compass or a guide for your decision making, because it's going to help you make better decisions in the future. I had a client recently email me in response to one of the emails that I sent out about what they would like to hear more about in the free resources that I provide, like my mini classes on Facebook, the podcast, etc. And they said, I think everything that you mentioned, like the examples that I gave, were like how to make more money, how to be more organized. They were like, all of that sounds great, because honestly, if you're, what is the good of making more money if you're going to be disorganized with it? You're not going to be a good steward of it in any way. And I agree with them completely, because like if we're not in line with our belief system that we've chosen intentionally, then how is that showing up whenever we go out and spend money in the world? Anytime you're spending money, you're putting your dollar in support of someone else's system, someone else's beliefs, someone else's values. And so it's very important to me personally that I understand what other people believe, and especially if I'm going to be giving them my money, what kind of values they hold, because I do for sure want my actions to reflect my values, to be in alignment with what I believe. So whether or not you've started a business already, or if that's maybe a goal that you have for this year, or for any time in the future you want to do your own thing, start a side hustle, start a business that you want to grow and have like a workforce of people, it's so important at any step of the way to sit down and articulate your values, be intentional about them, understand why you want those to be your values, and then use that as a guide whenever you have to make a decision. So I've chosen 5. I don't think that I can whittle it down any further. These are the core beliefs that I want to infuse into my business as well as my personal life. So the first 2 kind of go together, and that is authenticity and integrity. So authenticity is a genuine expression of my beliefs, and integrity is adhering to my moral and ethical principles. So I think you can see how these 2 kind of go together. I want to be a genuine person. I don't want to be fake at all. I don't like the phrase fake it till you make it. And I don't think I'm a good liar, like even telling like a white lie or something. I don't think I'm good at that. And the people that know me in real life would probably attest to that. I have a really hard time faking it through difficult shit. And I don't think that anyone should have to fake it until they make it. I'm authentically me because I'm a very straightforward person. It's really, with me, what you see is what you get. And that's a good thing, I think. I am ridding myself of the desire to please other people, and I've really been focusing more on being in integrity with myself. So this is kind of like a recurring thing for me. Being in integrity with myself, being authentic to myself, those kind of like overlap. So even though they're 2 separate like values, I think they kind of go together. The next 2 values that I have are justice and accountability. So justice is administering treatment according to principles of rightfulness and equity. Now, when we talk about morals and ethics, everybody has a different set of morals. Everybody has a different set of beliefs of what they think is right and wrong, right? There's a lot of like overlap. There's a lot of social conditioning, especially if you were somebody that went to like church, or specifically Christian churches, but like any major religion has like their set of what is right and wrong that they teach. So a lot of it overlaps for us, but there are varying degrees of what people believe to be right and wrong. So that is justice, administering treatment according to principles of rightfulness and equity. And then accountability is interesting. It's subject to answer to somebody. It's an obligation to report, explain, or justify something. So that word justify kind of ties back into justice. Like, how are we going to prove that this was the right decision to make? Who do we have to report to and be accountable to whenever we want to say, this is why I made the decision that I did. This is why I think it was the right thing to do. That's accountability, is like, who do I answer to? And as a business owner, you would think that the buck stops with me. I answer to myself, but that's not really true. I do answer to my clients for sure. My clients have certain expectations that are outlined in the scope of the services they have with me, and I'm accountable to them because I say that I'm going to deliver a service or a product to them, and then I do need to follow through and make sure that they're receiving that service or that product in the way that we both agreed would happen, right? I am accountable to my clients. I am a taxpayer. I'm accountable to the government to accurately report my income, to pay taxes. So it's not just ending with me as the business owner as like a figurehead or anything. Like, there's ways that I'm accountable to my community. Like, I live in a neighborhood. We don't have like an HOA. We don't have like property rules or anything, but I am accountable to my neighbors to like not go and trash their properties, not play music outside super loud all night long. Like, some of those things are built into local laws and stuff, but just, I think being a good neighbor and being accountable to the people in my direct immediate community is important. Like, I have people that I do need to answer to for my behavior, especially when it's impacting somebody else. So that's why I think justice and accountability go together as well. I believe in justice, in doing the right thing, and being equitable for everybody. And by equitable, I mean no matter what body you live in, no matter who your parents are, like no matter how you entered this world, you should have access that is equitable to the other people in your world. We all should have access to resources in an equitable way, and resources being food, water, shelter or housing, healthcare, community support, all of those things. So I believe in justice as far as there's a minimum that I think everybody should have access to, and that it should be equitable for everyone to access it. And then accountability being, how am I showing up? Who am I impacting with my decisions that I make in my business, in my personal life, with my home, with my friends, with my family? Who am I being accountable to because my actions some way impact them? So, as I've said before on previous podcasts, I am working on being anti-racist, uncovering my own biases, and being intentional about changing those biases. I'm accountable to my community locally and globally for that work because I do live in a body that is especially privileged. I am a white cisgender woman who I don't believe that I'm wealthy, but wealth is a very subjective thing. There are some people that would probably look at me and say that I am wealthy. And it's my responsibility to do this anti-racism work on myself, and it's not for me, right? The work that I do on being anti-racist is for the communities that I don't belong to, but that my privilege has an impact on. So it's my responsibility to do that work so that I can be a better neighbor and a comrade in dismantling those oppressive systems that I actually benefit from. It's not easy work, but it is just, and I hold myself to that standard because that is what I think is right. The final value that I hold is education. So education is the result of knowing that I will never know everything and pursuing knowledge anyways through reasoning and judgment. So I'm a good student. I have a bachelor's degree. I don't have any degrees after that because I don't want to continue higher education. I'm good at research and compilation, which is obviously a good trait to have as a bookkeeper. I enjoy learning new things about the world and life in general, but not only is it enjoyable to pursue knowledge, I think it's necessary. I think that knowing that I'm never going to know everything about the world, instead of that being a pessimistic thing, it is an encouraging thing because I feel called to learn and discover more about the world. So those are my 5 business and personal values that 100% overlap. That Venn diagram is a circle. That is authenticity and integrity. That is justice and accountability. And finally, education. So those are my 5 personal values, and they're also reflected in the way that I do business. I would love for you to share with me what your personal values are and whether or not those are the same as your work or business values. And if they're not the same, what is different between those 2 sets of values for you? Thanks for listening today. I hope you have a great week. I'll talk to you soon. If you are enjoying what you're learning on this podcast, please consider supporting me through a subscription on Anchor.fm. Any donation amount is welcome, or you can simply share it with someone you know. You can also follow me on Instagram at alleaseaccounting and sign up for my email list at alleaseaccounting.com/subscribe. Thanks for listening.